quiet shrinking. She didn't fall. She didn't cry out. But every morning, her world became just a little smaller. At first, it was skipping her morning walk. Then she started parking closer to the store. Eventually, she stopped going out unless someone was with her. No one told her to stop moving. Her body whispered it, through shaky knees, slower steps, and a quiet fear she didn't share. "I'm just being careful," she'd say. But deep down, she wondered, why do my legs feel weaker, even though I'm doing all the right things? She took her vitamins. She drank her water. She believed she was protecting her health. But something didn't add up. The stairs looked steeper, the floor felt farther, and each movement asked a little more than it used to. She blamed age. And that's what many of us do until someone finally tells us, some of the very vitamins we take to preserve our health may actually be quietly draining it. We're not here to scare you. We're here to bring awareness. Your legs carry more than your body. They carry your independence. And sometimes, a small change is all it takes to stay strong. No prescriptions, just a few healing foods. And suddenly, mornings feel different. Vitamin E, the coordination thief. It started with something small. Linda stood up too fast and felt a strange wobble in her legs. She brushed it off. Then came the stumble in the grocery store, and the moment on her porch steps, when she reached for the rail just in time. She told herself it was normal. "Everyone gets a little off balance sometimes," she whispered. What Linda didn't realize was that the very pills she took every morning to feel younger, stronger, more energized, was quietly stealing the strength from her legs. Vitamin E has long been praised for its anti-aging effects, its role in heart health, even its supposed skin benefits. Many seniors take it daily, assuming it's harmless. But here's something few people talk about. Unlike vitamin C, vitamin E is fat-soluble, which means it doesn't exit the body quickly. It builds up, slowly, silently, and sometimes dangerously. Studies have shown that taking more than 400 IU per day, a common dose in over-the-counter supplements, can impair neuromuscular function. Translation: your legs don't respond as quickly, your balance fades, and a simple misstep becomes something far more serious. Linda didn't think twice about her daily capsule. She was trying to take care of herself, but over time, she noticed it was harder to rise from her favorite chair. Her knees felt unsteady. Her coordination, once graceful, had become unsure. For those over 60, even a subtle weakening of the muscles that support the hips and thighs can double the risk of falling. Add in blood-thinning effects from high-dose vitamin E, and the consequences of a fall can become catastrophic. But the real danger? It doesn't scream. It whispers, no flashing warnings, just bruises that take longer to heal, stairs that feel steeper than they should, moments of hesitation that feel out of character. Linda wasn't fragile. She was misinformed. And that's something we can change. But what if the next pill, one you've trusted for years, quietly made your bones more fragile? Vitamin A, strong for the eyes, weak for the legs. Janet thought she was doing everything right. She avoided junk food. She walked every afternoon. And each morning, she took her favorite supplement, cod liver oil. Good for the eyes, her doctor once said. So she kept taking it, year after year. But something started changing. The stairs felt harder. Her thighs ached after grocery shopping. And one day she caught herself saying no to an invitation, because just the thought of walking too far made her anxious. She blamed it on aging. She didn't think twice about the tiny capsules she took with her tea every morning. But that capsule was quietly draining the strength from her bones. Vitamin A is essential, yes, but too much, especially over time, can be toxic. It's fat-soluble, which means the body doesn't flush it out like water-soluble vitamins. Instead, it builds up quietly in your liver, tissues, and bones. And when it builds up too high, it weakens the very structure that helps you stand, walk, and move freely, your legs. High levels of vitamin A have been shown to accelerate bone loss, particularly in older adults. It targets the hips, thighs, and spine, making the bones more brittle and more prone to fractures. The danger is subtle. You don't feel your bones thinning. You just feel tired, unsteady, less like yourself. Janet had never broken a bone, but at her last checkup, her doctor showed her the results. Early-stage osteoporosis. She was stunned. She thought she was doing everything right. And in many ways, she was. But no one told her that too much vitamin A, especially from cod liver oil, multivitamins, and fortified foods, can slowly undo the good. It doesn't happen in a day. It happens in the background, until one day your legs aren't as strong and your world feels just a little smaller. Type 1, right? If you've ever woken up and felt like your legs didn't belong to you. Type 2, if your heart ever raced and you kept it to yourself. Type 3, if you've thought, someone should have warned us about this years ago. I read every comment, because the next story might be yours. But there's one more surprise, because even your energy vitamin might be quietly working against you. Vitamin B6, the numbness nobody warned you about. Don used to love mornings. His routine was simple: a glass of water, a quick stretch, and one little capsule labeled Brain Plus Energy Boost. He liked how it made him feel, clearer, more focused. And for a while, it did. But then came the strange tingling in his feet. It started in his toes, a light buzzing, like his socks were too tight. Then the heaviness crept upward. His steps became less sure. Some mornings it felt like his legs were made of rubber. He assumed it was poor circulation. Or maybe early diabetes, but blood tests came back normal. It wasn't a disease. It was a vitamin. Vitamin B6 is often marketed to older adults as a way to boost metabolism, support nerve health, and sharpen memory. It's found in multivitamins, brain supplement, energy blends. But here's the hidden truth. Too much B6, especially over 100 milligrams a day, can damage the very nerves it's supposed to protect. It starts subtly, tingling in the feet, a strange numbness, an awkward step. But over time, it can evolve into peripheral neuropathy, a condition where the nerves in your legs and feet stop communicating properly. You start tripping over nothing. You feel unsure on the stairs. You hesitate before standing up, not out of fear, but out of instinct. And the worst part, even when you stop taking B6, the damage may not fully go away. Some seniors continue to experience weakness or numbness months or even years later. Don didn't know any of this. His supplement looked harmless, but it contained 150 milligrams of B6, 50% more than the daily safe upper limit for older adults. He was trying to stay sharp. He ended up feeling like a stranger in his own legs. And he's not alone. Many well-meaning seniors take B6 daily, not realizing that accumulation over time can disrupt the nervous system in ways that feel like aging, but are not. It's not about fear. It's about recognizing that what supports a 35-year-old body can overwhelm a 75-year-old one. But maybe it's not just what you take, maybe it's also what you don't do that weakens the legs we rely on. The hidden enemy, inactivity. Ellen never meant to stop moving. She just needed to rest. After the flu, after the holidays, after a few restless nights, she stayed in her recliner a little longer, skipped her morning walks just for the week, started eating breakfast in front of the TV. 1 week became 3, then 2 months. And somewhere in between, her legs started to feel foreign. It wasn't pain exactly. It was the quiet kind of weakness, the kind that only shows up when you try to do something you used to do without thinking. Standing from a low chair, balancing to pull on socks, climbing the 2 steps onto the porch. And that's when it hit her. I'm avoiding things without even realizing it. We often think strength is lost through injury or age, but for many seniors, it slips away quietly through stillness. When we sit too long, especially in older age, our large leg muscles begin to shrink, blood flow slows, posture collapses, and over time, the body starts to adapt, not to activity, but to inactivity. Muscles are like memory. The less you use them, the more they fade. What's worse, the body starts to believe this new level of movement is the norm. You hesitate to climb stairs. You use the elevator even for 1 floor. You start organizing your day around convenience instead of capability. And it's not laziness. It's not weakness. It's simply a habit. A habit that tells your legs, day after day, they're not needed. Ellen didn't feel like she was giving up. But when she looked back, she realized how often she said no to things. Not because she didn't want to, but because she wasn't sure her legs could handle it. It wasn't until she added 10 minutes of gentle walking in the hallway each day, just 10 minutes, that she began to feel herself again. No gym, no special equipment, just a decision to wake her legs back up. But what if all it takes is one smart review of what you're already doing? The morning routine that needs a rethink. For years, Frank followed the same routine. He'd wake up, pour himself a cold glass of water, skip breakfast, never had the appetite, and take his usual handful of supplements: multivitamin, cod liver oil, energy booster. Then he'd sit by the window, scrolling through the morning news, legs still, mind alert. He thought he was starting his day right, but his body was telling a different story. One morning, as he stood up to get the mail, the room tilted slightly. His heart raced. His legs didn't feel grounded. He paused, sat back down, and whispered to himself, that was new. Frank wasn't sick. His blood pressure was normal. His doctor called him healthy for his age. But still, he didn't feel steady anymore. And here's the truth no one told him. How you start your morning can shape how your legs behave for the rest of the day. Skipping breakfast can lead to drops in blood sugar, especially in older adults, resulting in fatigue, dizziness, and poor coordination. Taking multiple supplements on an empty stomach can irritate the digestive system and affect nutrient absorption. And prolonged sitting right after waking signals the body to slow down, not speed up. We talk a lot about nutrition and exercise, but sometimes what weakens us most is what we don't do. We don't stretch. We don't fuel. We don't move early enough to activate the muscles that keep us strong. Frank didn't need a prescription. He didn't need more pills. He just needed to start the day differently. A small protein snack before 9 a.m., a few leg stretches by the counter, and instead of the chair by the window, he stood for 5 minutes, looking out from the porch, letting his legs remember what it means to be awake. It wasn't a miracle, but within 2 weeks, the dizziness faded. He could feel the floor again. And most importantly, he could trust his body again. But there's something more powerful than routine: awareness. Why no one warned you. Diane had done everything by the book. She avoided fried foods. She drank more water. She even switched to natural supplements, ones labeled for seniors. Every time she opened the bottle, she felt like she was protecting herself, protecting her future. But then came the day she hesitated before going downstairs. Not because she was tired, but because she was afraid. Not of falling, but of what it would mean if she did. Her legs felt weaker than they used to, and she couldn't understand why. That's when her son, worried, scheduled a full checkup. And the results were unexpected. Her levels of vitamin A and E were more than double what she needed. Not toxic, but high enough to interfere with her muscles, her coordination, and possibly her balance. And this is where the story turns. Because Diane hadn't been careless. She'd been following advice, just not advice made for someone her age. Most nutritional guidelines are written for the average adult, which in most cases means someone between 25 and 50 years old. But the senior body is different. Your liver processes vitamins more slowly. Your bones respond differently to pressure. Your muscles lose strength more quickly and recover more slowly. And yet, most bottles, labels, and ads don't say that. So when Diane asked, "Why didn't anyone warn me?" her doctor didn't have a good answer, because that warning doesn't come printed on the label. It comes from lived experience, from listening closely, from choosing to ask instead of assume. Diane didn't need to be told she was aging. She needed to be told what aging meant for her body now. But there's one thing even more powerful than information: clarity. How to rethink, rebuild, and reclaim. Tom used to believe strength was something you lost and never really got back. Once your knees start aching, once your balance gets shaky, that's just how it is now. But then his daughter said something he couldn't shake. "Dad, I think your body's asking for a change, not giving up." It wasn't a dramatic shift. He didn't join a gym. He didn't buy expensive supplements. What he did was pause. He picked up the bottle of vitamins on his bathroom shelf and read the label, slowly. He searched the doses online, and he asked his doctor one simple question: "Do I still need this?" That one question opened a door. It led to a full nutrient panel, a blood test that measured more than just cholesterol. It looked at his actual vitamin levels. And there it was in plain numbers. His vitamin E was too high. His B6 was well above normal. His vitamin A was in the red zone. No one had checked that before. No one had told him to. Changed everything. He stopped 2 of his supplements, reduced 1, and replaced his empty morning with a soft-boiled egg, half an avocado, and a short walk outside, before the pills, before the screen, before sitting down. Within weeks, the tingling in his feet started to fade. He didn't need the handrail for the stairs. And one afternoon, while pruning his small backyard hedge, Tom realized he hadn't felt afraid of falling in over a month. Rebuilding doesn't mean going back to who you were. It means creating a version of yourself that works for who you are now. For seniors, that begins with rethinking what health means. It's not about having more, it's about knowing better, smarter doses, fewer pills, whole foods when possible. It's about asking new questions, questions that put your body back in the center, not the label, not the trend, not the one-size-fits-all. And most of all, it's about reclaiming the quiet confidence that comes when you know your legs are not giving out. They're waking back up. But the most powerful story is one that ends with a quiet return of strength. A morning that feels like yours again. The sun hadn't changed. The stairs were still there. The coffee mug still sat on the same corner of the counter. But something was different. Helen stood up that morning without waiting. Tom walked across his yard without the tightness in his chest. Diane tied her shoes without her fingers trembling. And Nancy took the stairs with steady breath and a quiet smile. None of them had found a miracle. None of them added more medications. What they found was understanding. They learned that their tiredness wasn't just from age, that the bruises weren't random, that the cramps, the fog, the cold hands all had a reason, and that the solution wasn't always more. Sometimes it was less, but done right. Helen had stopped her multivitamin after reading the fine print. Tom swapped out his daily energy pill for a protein-rich breakfast. Diane finally asked her doctor for a full vitamin panel. And Nancy? She didn't need a new supplement. She needed a short morning walk and a little more water. Their legs didn't get younger, but they got stronger. And strength at this stage of life isn't measured by speed or muscle. It's measured by what you can do without fear, without hesitation, without losing yourself in the what-ifs. What if you didn't need to feel fragile? What if your body wasn't failing? It was just trying to tell you something. For too long, we've been told that aging means decline, that independence fades, that weak legs, dizzy mornings, and creeping fear are just the price of growing older. But that story isn't finished, and it doesn't have to end with limitation. You still have the power to shift the course, gently, clearly, and with respect for the body that's carried you this far. So here's what I invite you to do. Review what's on your shelf. Ask new questions. Prioritize real food, gentle movement, and better conversations with your doctor. You don't need a prescription to feel steady. You don't need permission to feel strong again. You just need a morning that feels like yours. If this felt true to you, I think you'll really appreciate the next video too. Take a look. Or you can save this one, just in case you need it someday, because your strength isn't gone. It's simply waiting.